So it's been a little bit tough because when we started our preseason, we didn't have the full complement of all our players because we had, a few players, representing their countries. We had our, 3 players with the Olympic team, as well as others representing their countries in the COSAFA Cup. So they only joined us in, this week. So it's been a little bit difficult, but at the same time, I think the team looks good. We played a couple of friendly games, and I think going into the Golden Arrows game, it's going to be a very tough game, for us, considering the results of the previous season. When we played them, they took 6 points from us, and they've been dominant, and so it's not going to be an easy game. And they also finished 4th. They did very well in the league, so it's not going to be an easy game. It's going to be a very tough game, but I think we've really prepared very well. We are ready, for this game. The players are really looking forward to this game. They're looking sharp, though it will be the first game of the season, and we will be, pretty much still in preseason because there will be lack of match fitness, lack of sharpness here and there. But I think the team is ready.
Thank you, Coach. I'm now going to take questions from the floor. Let me start with Karabo, since your hand is up.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Fatu. Compliments of the season to you. Good morning, Coach. Hoping you well. All the best for the season. My colleagues as well. I hope that we carry on from last season, and good morning to everyone. Coach Kaitano, I'm sure it's been a bit tough and tricky, and I see there hasn't been any new signings, Coach, going into the new season. Can you maybe explain as to the challenges that you faced? Because I think last season, predominantly spoken about the left back, but there's no new signings at the club. That's a challenge that you've been facing in terms of new incomings, because I don't think there's been any new signings besides maybe the academy players being promoted. Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you, Karabo, and good morning to you. Look, I've always been a positive, person, and I think we always want to try and do well and work with what we have, irrespective, of what's happening in terms of us bringing in players. You're right, we haven't really been, active in the market. And I think what's important is for us to focus. The season is about to start, and I think we cannot really dwell much in terms of who's coming in and who's going. We will be able to bring in 1 or 2 players, the players that we need, preferably in the heart of defense, which is our spine, because we lacked a little bit of experience since the departure of Clayton Daniels. But I think I'm quite happy because the nucleus of the team, the core, the spine, stayed, especially the players who have been, played a huge role. In the previous season, they're still around. I'm talking about Bradley, I'm talking about Ronwen, Sipombule, Tembo Mkwena, Sian Tlapo, Besh. That's the spine of our team, and we're looking forward to give an opportunity to the younger players as well, from our MDC team, the players who've been doing well, during our preseason. So we have to try and stay more positive, and I believe in working with players and improving them and make them, better, and that's always, our challenge. And we happy with what we have at the moment. And we're prepared to go with it and work hard.
Thank you, Coach. Let's move on to the senior citizen, Velile.
Thank you, Fatu. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Vez. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. Coach, just to add on the question that is just been asked by Karabo. I notice now it's for the second season running that you're not really going into the market. because even last season you were not this active, and I think this season it's even worse than last year. It really happens that a club goes like that. Is this the kind of the approach that the club is going? What's informing this idea?
Look, I think if you've been following us, like you said, the past 3 seasons, the team which I inherited, I think we had the players like Gideon Femen, Yeye, Tuso Palas, James Keane, Morgan Gold, the Clayton Daniels. Those were very experienced players, very experienced, campaigners. And all those players are no longer with us, and we've brought in a lot of young players. And I think the CEO of the club is Mr. Stanley Matthews has come out and say we are taking a different, route, considering what has been happening, in terms of COVID. We don't have a lot of, a huge budget to go out there and spend money like we used to do before. So we're taking a different approach in terms of, us giving, more opportunities to the younger players and still stay a little bit more competitive as well. And I think the chairman has been, the CEO has been very clear on that. And for us, what's important is for us to work on what we have and make sure that we get the best of, the talent that we have in the club and the academy. And that, I think everyone in the club is prepared to work towards that, goal and make sure that we successful.
Okay, let's move on to Newsroom Africa.
Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Minentle from Newsroom Africa. Coach, last season momentum seemed to be an issue for you. Great start, then you drop, then you find yourself in the middle of the season, you start to find form. Straight after December, it seems to drop. How much emphasis has gone in this season in your planning to ensure that the momentum, once you find momentum, you're able to sustain it? Because at one point you were even in the top 3 for the league race and you just somehow just evaporated. How are you working on maintaining momentum?
Look, I think we always knew that, during the season, it might happen like that because of, lack of, quality in our depth. And I think the time we had, such a, slump was when we had injuries to, I think, Brady Krobler, Gabuza, Ronwen, Julie Manziva, and even Rusike as well. At that moment, at that time, he was injured. And so when you lose your big name players and the players who really make a huge difference in terms of making sure that our spine is solid, you are bound to wobble a little bit. And like you said, we had a very good start. And I think our challenge now is we are still in the same situation, that we might be able to lose, players through injury, through suspension. And how can we, do it differently? And it's to try and manage those players, properly in terms of, making sure that we don't overuse them and we give them, more attention, in their recovery, because we always want them to be fit and be available for matches. And I think that's going to be a huge, aspect of our preparation, this season, because our conditioning team and the medical team will have to play a huge role to make sure that those players are always available. And because they're important to us. And last season, if I want to take you back, I think Bradley and Gabuza scored close to 20 goals. So if you lose people who score 20 goals, team, you are bound to suffer, because goals are important. So managing the team is going to be very key, and introducing the young players at the right time. And I think last season we did well by bringing young players, and they've gained a little bit more experience. So this season we expect them to play more, more matches. I'm talking a player like Luke Flores, Keenan Phillips, Jamie Weber, Jesse Don, Tatayane Ditlokwe, all those players are under 23, so we expect them to play a pivotal role now in the coming season, because they've got another season. They have one season under their belt already.
Thank you, Coach. Rob Delport.
Thanks, Fatu. Coach, Rob Delport in Cape Town. Hope you're well. Coach, you actually touched on my question there. The expectation of those young players this season, because of the experience they've gained, is it now a chance for them to step up and become proper first-team players? And secondly, what are you expecting from Golden Arrows with the coaching change?
Look, the expectation, from us on our young players is for them to be, better from the previous season. And we need to see progress. And I think that's very key. I think we are very demanding because when you give people opportunities, they've got to show hunger and desire. So they've got to get better and better in each and every season. We've seen for the past 3 seasons, Sipo and Tabs have been getting better and better. Now they're Bafana internationals. So that's what we expect, from the rest of the young players, especially when you are given an opportunity to play, you've got to show the ability that you can still get better. And this season, it's a huge season for them, to show that. Coming to the game against Arrows, it's a tough game. Like I said, we are playing away from home. They are a very good team, though they've changed, the coach, but they haven't really changed their philosophy. They're still playing the short passing game, the build up from the back and sometimes play on transition, looking to play, balls behind. Knox and Tizwa leading the front line. So they haven't really changed much, in terms of, their philosophy. So it's still going to be a very tough game. But like I said, I think we are very, we are prepared, we are ready. We will give as much as we get. It's a game that we want to win and go through to the semifinals, because once you win the quarterfinals, it gives you an extra 2 games, which we are looking forward to.
Let's move on to Zakele in Durban.
Good morning, Coach. Thanks, Fatu. This is Zakele from Minnesota as a coach in Durban. With this new approach, Coach, of saying let's play the youngsters and not buy so-called big name players, does it mean now that you forget about challenging for the league and challenging for other top owners, because those are challenged by players who give their squad season in, season out?
Yeah, look, as a team and as well as individuals, we always, have to be ambitious. And I think we are in this league to challenge for it. But if you challenge for it, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win it. So for us, we always want to go out there and give it a go. And the previous 3 seasons, I think halfway, the season, we've always been in the top 3. So that shows that we've got the ability, we've got the right, material to challenge for the league. And if we can be a little bit more consistent, in certain areas, I think we have the ability to continue doing that. And though we lack a little bit, in terms of depth, but we have to always set, higher targets, for our players. And we're always going to do that and go out there and compete. Even the previous 3 seasons, we always wanted to go out there and, and fight for the league. But it doesn't mean that we're going to win it. There are clubs like Sundowns, who've got, bigger budget, like, everyone, they are more in a better position to win it because they've got better quality and depth as well. But at the same time, I think we have to go out there and fight for it. All the 16 teams in the league, deserve to fight for the league.
Okay, let's go back to Karabo.
Thank you, Fatu. Coach, I just got two quick ones. I've seen in recent weeks one of the academy players, Kgape Morwalo. Can you just explain what type of player is he? Are we most likely to see more of him? I understand that he's a midfielder, but just what type of midfielder is he? And secondly, Coach, just going back to my first question, of course you did answer me, but was there a discussion in terms of saying we're not going to be going more into the transfer market to try and save jobs at the club? I know SuperSport United is also very big on in terms of, long-term saving employees. I mean, was this more of a call of saying let's save jobs in regards to the women at the academy who helped clean the groundsmen as well, the people at the first team, the digital team, the media team? Was that the call in terms of saving more jobs and reducing in terms of signing new players? Thank you, Coach.
Look, in terms of saving jobs, I won't comment on that because I'm not really sure. That's not my area. I don't know much about that. But in terms of where the team is, going, it's something that was discussed in terms of, us using, more younger players because we've got an academy, and we need to try and make use of that academy and make sure that we develop players that we can stay competitive, but still, using our own resources from our academy, which we spend a lot of money, developing players. Coming to Kgape, Kgape has been doing very well, for the first time. For the first team, he's been, with the MDC team. So he's joined, the first team the past 2 seasons. I think he made his debut, for the club against Pirates in the bubble, the season before. And he's a box-to-box, midfielder, very energetic, very intelligent as well. Good reader of the game. And we're gonna see a lot more of him in the coming season because, like I said, we expect our players to get better and better in each and every season. And he has shown that, though he hasn't played much, but his attitude hasn't changed. He's still showing hunger and desire that he's waiting for his opportunity. And we brought him against Maritzburg last season, towards the end of last season, and he played very well. And for me, he's got character and is a typical SuperSport United player, a player who's got character, who's got a very good personality, good work ethic, and I can't wait to unleash him in the coming season.
Okay, Max Stradom.
Thanks, Fatuan. Coach, just wondering, it's been a bit of a pattern, not just last season, but going back a long way, even possibly to the end of Gavin Hunt's term there, and you've been there a long time, where SuperSport will start the season very well, generally, and be up there around halfway as a challenger, and somewhere you lose your way in the next sort of quarter of the season. Just seems to have been a pattern, and then end up around 5th or 6th place in the league. Just wondering, you've been there through all those coaches, Baxter, Gavin, and now yourself. Why do you think that seems to be a pattern with the club, and how do you change that? Maybe in this coming season, because I mean, if you look at Amazulu ending runners-up with less resources probably than SuperSport, I think SuperSport are certainly capable of challenging. And maybe just a second one is a more competitive Kaizer Chiefs. You would expect them, and Stuart well, you would expect Chiefs to be a lot more competitive in this coming season. What does that do to that top 5 space where you've already got Amazulu, possibly Swallows, yourselves, Pirates, and Sundowns, and who knows who else might be up there? What does a more competitive Chiefs do to the complexion of that top 5 space that you're always competing for? Thanks a lot, Coach.
Hi, Mike. Look, it's always, difficult when we talk about resources. We're talking about, a club that can have, 3 quality players in one position. For us, we might have 1, but the rest can be 2, 3 young players, which we are looking, to give opportunities. So I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier that we've had, problems, especially the last season when we lost, Bradley, we lost Ronwen, we lost Gabuza. And between them, Gabuza and Ronwen and Bradley, they scored about 20 goals, 22 goals. And that's a lot. So if you lose that, you will suffer. Whereas if you have a team like Sundowns, if there's no Shalulile, there's Kemit Erasmus, there's Motupa. And that's quality. And I'm not complaining about that, because they deserve it. And for us, we've got to try and work with what we have and still stay, competitive. And I believe that we are in the right track. We are in the right direction. We can still stay competitive. We can still fight for that top 5, position. We can still stay in that, in that area. So I'm not really worried about that. We have to try and make sure that we work a little bit more to be a little bit more consistent. When I said, us as a club, to make sure that all our, top players are available. And so we need to work a little bit more in terms, to make sure that we achieve that.
Thank you, Coach. I'm now taking the last round of questions.
Sorry, Fatu, just the second one, Coach, just about Chiefs and what that does to the top 5 space that you guys compete in.
Sorry about that. Look.
No, thanks. Yeah.
Chiefs are always a big team, and they've gone into the market. They brought in more players to bolster their squad in terms of quality. So obviously they're gonna be very competitive. Probably they will be challenging for the league title as well. So we've got to do what we've got to do and make sure that we stay within that group, and which means we've got to work a little bit more. We've got to work a little bit harder. We've done that before, and I think and believe that we can still do that, with the quality that we have, irrespective of the depth. But I still believe that we can stay there and still be competitive.
Thank you. Mark, are you covered?
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right, cool. Thank you. Let's move on now. I'm going to take the last round of questions. I will start with Velile and then move on to Rob.
Coach, I will take another follow-up. Hey, who is this now? Who's walking? Okay. I will take another follow-up, like taking a rebound, I know that you hold Stuart Baxter high up there. Mark Stradom was asking about Chiefs, the return of Baxter to the PSL. What dimension do you think it adds? I know you've worked with him, and there's just some competitiveness when it comes to him, whether it's challenging for the league title or challenging for the trophy. And also, I've seen some quotes which have been attributed to you around Debza and Sipo. I know that this is the talk that is not going to die down until the transfer window closes. Psychologically, what does it do to the boys? Have you been talking to them? Are they ready about this? Because I think even towards the end of last season, they had also been talking about possible moves, whether locally or overseas.
Yeah, look, that has been a very worrying issue, regarding those two players. I think also the talk of them, going to other clubs started, last season. And when it started, we were also doing very well. I think it started around Jan, and it really kind of like destabilized us a little bit, because, players are also human beings. When, people are always talking about them, they are, bound to lose focus and, lose concentration. And their game sometimes does suffer. And we went through that. But at the moment, I think we have had enough time to prepare them and speak to them, because nothing was on the table. I think the CEO came out and spoke to them as well, that there's nothing on the table until something that happens. They will be the first ones to know. So they are really focused. I'm not really worried about that. They are really focused. For the team, they want to do well. They are young players who've got ambitions, and they know that you are just as good as your last game. And look at what happened to the Olympics. Olympic team, we were looking forward for them to go out there and do well, but it didn't happen. So that's football. So they know that they have to refocus and start doing well again. Otherwise, you get forgotten, very quickly in this game. So they are focused. I'm not worried about that. I'm quite happy with their attitude, towards training in the team. They haven't changed. They are still the same. So I'm looking forward for a good season, because I believe that this will make them a little bit stronger, and they will raise their game. Coming to Stuart Baxter, I've worked with him. I think I owe a lot, to my, progress, development as well as a coach, to him as well. I think he played, a huge role, because he had confidence in me as an individual as well as a coach. And I know that, he is going to change Chiefs. Chiefs are going to be very competitive this coming season. And believe you me, they're going to be very difficult to play against, knowing him. And the season is going to be very interesting. I believe that, Chiefs will be up there challenging for the league, and, in each and every, cup game as well. So we are looking forward to a very interesting season.
Okay, Rob, can go ahead.
Coach, Rob again. Coach, you mentioned strengthening the core and having a strong core. And I saw last week you mentioned Bukhle Makundazi was training with the club. Is he the type of player that you're looking at signing? And if so, what sort of condition is he in, considering he was inactive last season?
Yeah, look, Bukhle is training with us. And I think he's been doing very well. He's a clean living, he's a professional. And I was even surprised when I saw him at training. For someone who hasn't, played for a year, he looks, in good condition. And he's an experienced campaigner, as well as a Bafana International. So we are looking for someone who will come in and help, our young players like Keenan Phillips, who's only 20, Luke Fraser, who's only 21, Tatiana Ditoko, who's only 22, to give them guidance and, in direction which we really lacked, last season. So I just hope everything goes well, and we will be looking forward to work with him.
Front runner.
Thank you, Fatu. Morning, everyone. Coach, as the season starts, what's the realistic expectations or mandate from the club for this season? Thank you.
Well, I think for us is to always try and do better than the previous season. That's our, expectation, and my expectation as well, because I always, believe in progress, development. So we want to do better than the previous season. That's our realistic, expectation.
Good morning, everybody. I was trying to raise my hand, but I realized that I'm struggling. You know, this technology thing. Coach.
Hold on.
Okay.
Mr. Shabalala, just hold
Chabalala.
on.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
please just hold on.
Okay.
Zakele, is that an old hand
yeah.
or is it
Okay.
is it a new one?
It's an old one,
Okay.
Fatu.
All right, Mr. Shabalala, Sobri, you will have the last question.
My apologies, Fatuane.
Thank
for
you. You can
just,
go ahead. You can just
yeah,
go ahead straight to your question.
Okay, Coach, I
Good
would
morning,
like
Mr. Shabalala.
to find out that SuperSport, are you guys having? This might not be a fair question to you. I'm looking at the team as a whole. Are you guys having maybe a vision of incorporating your former players into, you know, the development of the team, in terms of them being upgraded to become coaches in the future, just like you are doing it now? Is that part and parcel of SuperSport strategy going forward?
I think if I take you back, I think that has been, you know, the club strategy in terms of, you know, giving opportunities to the former players. It's not only me. If you look at our technical team at the moment, it's me, Andre, there's Grant Johnson. Those are all former SuperSport United players, as well as Tabo September. And before we had Ricardo Katza, was also part of our, you know, technical team, and he moved to Bloom. So it's not only now, this has been, you know, happening. You know, most players, ex-players are not just into coaching. We've got Jabu Pule was also one of our ambassadors. So that has always been the vision of the club. And I think I can take you back to Thomas Marihage as well.
Okay, thank you very much. We're gonna end it here. Thank you very much, Coach, and all the best for Saturday. Colleagues of the media, thanks once again for joining us. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you.
Thank you very much.